The secret of the 10,000-year empire, the Golden Throne's eternal vigil. In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, one ancient device stands between humanity and complete annihilation. The Golden Throne, that magnificent and terrible artifact at the heart of terror, has become both the salvation and the curse of the Imperium of man. For 10 millennia, this archaeotech marvel has sustained not just the broken body of the master of mankind, but the very fabric of human civilization across the galaxy. What began as humanity's greatest hope for transcendence has become its most desperate lifeline. The Golden Throne represents the ultimate irony of the Imperium, a device meant to elevate mankind beyond the need for the warp now chains them to it, demanding an ever-increasing toll of suffering and sacrifice. This is the story of that throne, its purpose, its price, and the terrible truth that the Adeptus Custodes and the highest echelons of the Imperium desperately try to hide. It is failing. The origins of the Golden Throne. The Golden Throne's origins stretch back into the mists of prehistory, to that golden age known as the Dark Age of technology. During this era, humanity reached heights of scientific achievement that would later seem like myth and legend. The throne itself is believed to be a product of this time, though some whisper it may be even older, perhaps Xenos in origin, or created through some unholy fusion of human and alien technology. Originally, the Golden Throne was not designed as a life support system. Instead, it served as a psychic amplifier of unprecedented power, capable of boosting a psyker's abilities to godlike levels. Some tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus theorize it was meant to be humanity's answer to the Eldari's psychic mastery, a way to level the playing field in a galaxy where psychic might often determine survival. When the Emperor of Mankind emerged from the shadows to unite terror and begin his great crusade, he had grander plans for the Golden Throne. The Master of Mankind saw in this ancient device the key to his ultimate goal, freeing humanity from its dependence on warp travel. The throne would become the centerpiece of the Imperial Webway project, humanity's attempted entry into the labyrinthine dimension that the Eldari had used for millennia. Beneath the Imperial Palace, in vast chambers that stretched for kilometers, the Emperor and his most trusted servants worked in absolute secrecy. The Golden Throne was modified, enhanced, and integrated into a massive portal that would open directly into the Webway. This project represented nothing less than the next stage of human evolution, a future where humanity could travel between the stars without risking the predations of chaos, where communication could be instantaneous across the galaxy, where the human race would finally be free from the tyranny of the warp. The Emperor himself would sit upon the Golden Throne to power this magnificent undertaking. His psychic might, already beyond mortal comprehension, would be amplified to levels that could tear reality itself asunder. Through his will alone, the gateway would be opened and maintained, creating a beachhead in the Webway from which humanity could expand. The dream of the Imperial Webway died not through enemy action or technological failure, but through the misguided loyalty of a son. Magnus the Red, Primarch of the Thousand Suns Legion, made a catastrophic decision that would damn humanity for millennia to come. Seeking to warn his father of Horus's treachery, Magnus used his formidable psychic powers to project himself across the galaxy, breaching all the psychic wards the Emperor had placed around Terra. The Crimson King's psychic battering ram tore through the barriers between real space and the warp, shattering the delicate psychic constructs the Emperor had woven around the Webway portal. In an instant, the protective seals failed, and the raw stuff of chaos poured through the breach. Daemons in their countless legions invaded the Imperial Webway, turning humanity's hoped-for salvation into a gateway to hell itself. The Emperor was forced to abandon his place on the Golden Throne to lead the defense personally. For months, he and his custodian guard fought a desperate holding action in the Webway, battling manifestations of chaos that grew ever stronger. The war in the Webway, as it came to be known, was a conflict of unimaginable scale and horror, fought in a realm where the laws of physics held no sway and reality itself was a weapon. During this time, the Golden Throne sat empty, its great work abandoned. The Mechanicum adepts who maintained it could only watch and wait, knowing that each day the portal remained open, the contamination spread further. The Emperor knew that the project was doomed. The webway gate could never be cleansed of chaos taint, and humanity's dream of warp-free travel died in those dark tunnels beneath Terra. When the Emperor finally emerged from the webway to face Horus during the Siege of Terra, he knew he was walking to his doom. Someone would need to sit upon the Golden Throne permanently to keep the webway portal sealed, lest Terra itself be overrun by daemons. Initially, the loyal Primarch Malcador the Sigillite took this burden upon himself. His psychic might barely sufficient to hold back the tide of chaos. The confrontation between the Emperor and Horus aboard the Warmaster's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, has been told and retold countless times. What matters for our tale is the outcome. The Emperor, though victorious, was broken in body and spirit. Malcador, having spent his life force to hold the throne for mere hours, crumbled to dust when the Emperor returned. With his last words to Rogel Dawn, the Emperor commanded that he be interred upon the Golden Throne. What had been designed as a tool of transcendence, then repurposed as a gateway to the stars, would now become a life support system and psychic amplifier combined. The Golden Throne would preserve the Emperor's body in a state between life and death, allowing his psychic essence to endure and continue protecting humanity. At its most basic level, the Golden Throne functions as the most complex life support system ever devised. The Emperor's body, shattered by Horus's attacks and ravaged by the corrupting influence of chaos, requires constant intervention to prevent final death. Thousands of mechanical systems work in perfect harmony, or as perfect as 10,000 years of decay allows, to maintain the precise biological conditions needed. The throne monitors and regulates every aspect of the Emperor's physiology. Nutrient solutions are fed intravenously, while waste products are removed through processes that the biologist members of the Mechanicus barely understand. The Emperor's blood is constantly filtered and revitalized through archaeotech devices that have no modern equivalent. Neural connections maintained by microscopic machinery preserve brain function, though whether the Emperor's original organic brain still functions or has been entirely replaced by psychic energy is a matter of heated theological debate. Temperature, pressure, radiation levels, every environmental factor is precisely controlled within the Golden Throne's stasis field. This field exists partially outside normal spacetime, slowing entropy and decay to a crawl. Without it, the Emperor's body would have crumbled to dust millennia ago. The Golden Throne's secondary function, and perhaps its most important one, is the amplification of the Emperor's psychic might. Even in his broken state, the Master of Mankind possesses psychic power beyond easy comprehension. The throne takes this already godlike power and magnifies it 1,000-fold, projecting the Emperor's presence across the entire galaxy. This amplification works through a series of psychic resonators built into the throne's structure. These crystal matrices, grown through processes lost to the current age, create a harmonic frequency that synchronizes with the Emperor's psychic emanations. The resulting wave of psychic energy is then channeled through a network of psychically conductive materials that run throughout the Imperial Palace and beyond. The throne allows the Emperor to maintain a psychic presence on a galactic scale. He can touch the minds of his servants across the vast distances of space, provide visions to guide the faithful, and even manifest minor miracles in real space. Saints report feeling his presence. Naval officers receive flashes of inspiration during crucial battles, and dying soldiers feel a moment of peace as their souls pass into the warp, all made possible by the Golden Throne's amplification. Perhaps the most crucial function of the Golden Throne is its role in powering the Astronomican, the psychic beacon that makes warp travel possible for the Imperium. This artificial psychic star shines through the warp, providing a fixed reference point that navigators use to guide their ships through that hellish dimension. The Astronomican is not generated by the Emperor alone, though he provides the core of its power. Instead, it requires a choir of roughly 10,000 psychers who focus their combined might through the Golden Throne's systems. The Emperor acts as a lens and amplifier for their psychic energy, transforming their individual contributions into a unified beacon that can be detected from almost anywhere in the galaxy. Without the Astronomican, warp travel would be reduced to short, dangerous hops between nearby systems. The Imperium would fragment within years, as worlds became isolated and communication broke down. Trade would cease, reinforcements could not arrive, and each world would be left to face the galaxy's dangers alone. The Golden Throne, therefore, is not just preserving the Emperor, it is preserving the very concept of a unified human empire. Though few in the modern Imperium know it, the Golden Throne continues to serve its modified original purpose, keeping the damaged webway gate sealed. Deep beneath the Imperial Palace, the ruptured portal still exists, and beyond it lies a section of the webway thoroughly corrupted by chaos. Were the seal to fail, Terra itself would be invaded by daemon legions of unimaginable size and power. The Emperor's will, channeled and amplified through the Golden Throne, maintains a constant psychic barrier over this breach. It requires a significant portion of his attention and power, even as he performs his other duties. This constant drain may be one reason why the Emperor's ability to communicate and intervene directly in real space has seemingly diminished over the millennia. The Golden Throne's operation comes at a horrific human cost. The machine requires not just technological maintenance, but a constant supply of psychic energy beyond even what the Emperor can provide in his damaged state. This energy comes from sanctioned psychers, humans with psychic abilities who have been tested, approved, and brought to Terra for this ultimate service. These psychers are fed into the Golden Throne in a process that can only be described as vampiric. Their life force, their very souls, are drained to power the massive psychic mechanisms. A psyker connected to the throne typically survives only days, sometimes mere hours, before being reduced to a withered husk. Their psychic essence is consumed entirely, leaving nothing for the afterlife. They simply cease to exist on any level. The Adeptus Terra maintains a constant supply chain of psychers from across the Imperium. Black ships travel from world to world, collecting those with psychic abilities. While some are deemed strong enough to serve as astropaths or battle psychers, many others, those with power but lacking the strength or training to use it safely, are marked for this final sacrifice. The numbers are staggering and grow worse with each passing century. In the early millennia following the Heresy, perhaps 100 psychers per day were required. Now, that number has grown to approximately 1,000 souls daily. Some tech priests whisper that the number continues to increase, that the throne's hunger grows ever greater as its mechanisms decay. This means that every single day, 1,000 human beings are led into the throne room, knowing they go to their deaths. They are connected to the ancient machinery through neural plugs and psychic conductors, their terror and pain adding a discordant note to the psychic chorus that powers the throne. The screams of the dying echo through the psychic realm, a constant reminder of the price of the Imperium's survival. The logistics of this operation are mind-boggling. Entire administrative departments exist solely to manage the flow of psychers to Terra. Holding facilities across the planet house, tens of thousands of psychers awaiting their turn. The Adeptus Administratum maintains precise records, each psycher catalogued, their power levels measured, their final moments recorded for posterity. Beyond those fed directly to the throne, thousands more psychers serve in the Astronomican choir. These individuals, while not immediately consumed, face a scarcely better fate. Seated in great chambers within the Imperial Palace, they focus their psychic might into the Astronomican, guided and amplified by the Emperor's will through the Golden Throne. The strain of this service is immense. Choir members age rapidly, their hair turning white within weeks, their bodies withering as their psychic essence is slowly drained. Most serve for only a few years before they burn out entirely, their minds destroyed by the constant psychic pressure. The lucky ones die quickly, the unlucky survive as hollow shells, their personalities erased by the overwhelming presence of the Emperor's psychic might. The Adeptus Mechanicus bears the impossible responsibility of maintaining the Golden Throne. This task has become increasingly difficult as the millennia pass, for the throne incorporates technologies that no living tech priest truly understands. The knowledge of its construction has been lost, scattered to the winds of time and the chaos of the Heresy. Tech priests approach the throne with religious reverence, for to them it is not merely a machine but a divine artifact that holds their omniscient. They perform rituals of maintenance that have become more ceremony than science, replacing components according to ancient protocols that they dare not deviate from, even when they don't understand the purpose. The throne requires constant attention. Thousands of tech priests work in shifts around the clock, monitoring its systems, replacing worn components, and performing the sacred rites of maintenance. They oil joints that may not need oil. They replace circuits whose function they can only guess at. And they pray to machine spirits that may or may not exist within the throne's consciousness. Despite their best efforts, the Golden Throne is failing. The signs are subtle but undeniable to those with the clearance to know. Power fluctuations that once occurred, perhaps once per century, now happen monthly. Components that should last millennia burn out in decades. The psychic resonance chambers show microfractures that grow despite all attempts to repair them. The throne's energy consumption increases steadily. Where once it operated with elegant efficiency, now it bleeds power like a wounded beast. Emergency backup systems activate more frequently. The stasis field flickers occasionally, for microseconds that feel like eternities to those who monitor it. Each failure is corrected, each crisis averted, but the trend is clear to anyone willing to see it. Most terrifying are the changes in the Emperor himself. His body, already more corpse than man, shows signs of further deterioration. The few tech priests permitted to approach closely enough to see report that the flesh continues to wither, that the bones grow more brittle, that the psychic light in his eye sockets dims ever so slightly with each passing year. The Mechanicus has tried everything within their power to halt or reverse the throne's decay. Expeditions have been launched to recover archaeotech that might provide replacement parts. Forge worlds dedicate their entire output to creating components that might serve as substitutes for failing systems. The most radical tech priests have even examined Xeno's technology, hoping to find principles that might apply to the throne's repair. Belisarius Cawl, perhaps the greatest tech priest since the Heresy, has made the Golden Throne his personal obsession. His investigations have taken him to the darkest corners of the galaxy and the most forbidden vaults of Mars. He has consulted with artificial intelligences that may be abominable intelligences, studied the works of the Dark Mechanicum, and even examined captured Eldari technology. Yet for all his genius, Cawl has achieved only minor successes. He has managed to slow the decay in some systems, to improve efficiency in others, but the core problem remains. The Golden Throne is dying, and with it, the Emperor, and with him, perhaps all of humanity. The truth about the Golden Throne's failing is perhaps the most closely guarded secret in the Imperium. Only the highest echelons of the Adeptus Terra, select members of the Inquisition, and the most senior tech priests of Mars know the full scope of the crisis. Even among these elite few, there are gradations of knowledge. Some know the throne is failing, but not how quickly. Others know the timeline, but not the full implications. This secrecy is maintained through brutal necessity. If the citizens of the Imperium knew their God Emperor's life hung by such a slender thread, the resulting panic could tear the Imperium apart faster than any external threat. Entire sectors might rebel, thinking the end times had come. The Imperial Creed itself might collapse, taking with it the faith that binds the Imperium together. Those who learn too much about the throne's condition often meet with accidents. Inquisitors who dig too deeply disappear. Tech priests who ask too many questions find themselves reassigned to distant forge worlds on the frontier. Even High Lords of Terror have been quietly replaced when they showed signs of breaking under the strain of this knowledge. Behind closed doors, in chambers shielded against every form of surveillance, the High Lords of Terror debate the unthinkable: what happens when the Emperor finally dies? There is no clear succession, no protocol for this eventuality. The Emperor never named an heir, never established a system for governance beyond his own rule. Some argue that one of the returned Primarchs should take the throne. Roboute Guilliman's resurrection has given credence to this faction. Others insist that the High Lords should continue to rule in the Emperor's name, maintaining the fiction of his active governance even after his death. More radical voices suggest that perhaps humanity needs to evolve beyond the need for the Emperor, though such voices rarely speak twice. The ecclesiarchy poses its own problems. How do you tell billions of faithful that their God is dead? Some within the church hierarchy argue that the Emperor's death would not be death at all, but a transformation, that he would ascend fully to godhood, freed from the prison of flesh. Others fear that without the physical anchor of his body, the imperial creed would fragment into 1,000 heresies. Desperate times have led to desperate measures. Secret expeditions search for STCs that might contain throne-related technology. Diplomatic overtures, unthinkable in other circumstances, have been made to various Xenos races. The Inari, with their knowledge of death and rebirth, have been cautiously approached. Even darker whispers speak of attempts to bargain with the Dark Mechanicum, though such claims are violently denied. Some within the Mechanicus pursue a different path: the creation of a new golden throne. If the original cannot be repaired, perhaps it can be replaced. Secret Forge worlds dedicate their entire output to this project, trying to reverse engineer the throne's systems. The work proceeds at a glacial pace, hampered by the lack of understanding and the sheer complexity of the task. Among scholars and heretics, debates rage about the Emperor's actual condition. The orthodox position holds that he lives still, sustained by the Golden Throne, actively guiding and protecting humanity. But other theories persist, spread in whispers and encrypted data packets. Some claim the Emperor died millennia ago, and what sits on the Golden Throne is merely an echo, a psychic imprint powerful enough to maintain the Astronomican but lacking true consciousness. This echo theory suggests that the Imperium has been running on autopilot, guided by the dying commands of a dead god. Others propose the nascent god theory, that the Emperor is transforming into a true warp deity, fed by the worship of trillions. The Golden Throne, in this view, is not keeping him alive, but keeping him from fully manifesting in the warp. His death would not be an ending, but a dark apotheosis, the birth of a new chaos god dedicated to order and control. A few radical theorists even suggest the perpetual theory, that as a perpetual, the Emperor cannot truly die. The Golden Throne actually prevents his resurrection, keeping him in a state of constant dying because someone or something fears what he would do if he returned. These theorists ask uncomfortable questions about who made the decision to place him on the throne and why. The traitor tech priests of the Dark Mechanicum have their own interest in the Golden Throne. Some see it as the ultimate expression of the fusion between flesh and machine, a goal they wish to replicate or surpass. Others view it as an abomination, a prison that constrains the Omnissiah's true power. Intelligence reports, when they can be trusted, speak of Dark Mechanicum expeditions seeking fragments of Golden Throne technology. They raid ancient battlefields, excavate ruined laboratories, and torture captured tech priests for knowledge. What they intend to do with such knowledge is uncertain, but the possibilities are terrifying. Some heretic cults preach that the Golden Throne is actually a Dark Age of technology weapon, designed to psychically lobotomize humanity's most powerful psyche. They claim the Emperor's true power is being siphoned off for purposes unknown, possibly feeding some ancient AI or Xenos entity. These theories are considered heresy of the highest order, punishable by immediate execution and soul binding. The consequences of the Golden Throne's failure are almost too terrible to contemplate. The most immediate effect would be the loss of the Astronomican. Within days, every ship in warp transit would be lost, destroyed by daemons or trapped forever in that hellish realm. The Imperium would fragment instantly into isolated systems, each unable to communicate or travel to any other. The psychic backlash of the Emperor's death could kill every psyker in the Sol system instantly, their souls burned out by the release of energy. The shockwave might extend further, creating a psychic null zone that could encompass entire sectors. Astropathic communication would cease, leaving worlds to face their fates alone. Worse still would be the opening of the Webway Gate. Without the Emperor's will to hold it closed, the Daemon legions contained within would spill out onto Terra itself. The throne world would fall within hours, consumed by chaos. The symbolic impact of Terra's fall would shatter Imperial morale across the galaxy, leading to mass despair and defection. Yet all is not lost. The return of Reboot Guilliman has shown that the Primarchs can still play a role in humanity's survival. His reforms have strengthened the Imperium, buying precious time. Some whisper that he knows of the throne's condition and prepares contingencies, though what form these might take remains unclear. The Ynnari offer another path. Their god of death and rebirth might hold the key to the Emperor's restoration. Some radical inquisitors have made contact with them, seeking knowledge that might free the Emperor from his golden prison. The political implications of accepting Xeno's aid are staggering, but extinction makes for strange bedfellows. Technology, too, might provide salvation. Call's experiments continue, each failure teaching him more about the throne's operation. Other tech priests pursue different approaches, some seeking to create psychic amplifiers that could replace the throne's function, others working on alternative FTL communication and travel methods that wouldn't require the Astronomican. Perhaps most intriguing is the possibility that this is all part of the Emperor's design. As a being of incredible foresight, did he foresee this situation? Some theorists point to subtle signs, the way certain events have unfolded, the timing of Guilliman's return, the emergence of new Imperial saints, as evidence of a vast plan still in motion. The Emperor might be allowing the throne to fail, planning his own death and rebirth. Perhaps he needs to die to be reborn, to shed the failing flesh and emerge as something greater. This theory suggests that humanity's darkest hour might precede its greatest triumph, that the Emperor's death could herald not the end but a new beginning. Others suggest the Emperor is gradually transferring his essence elsewhere, into the warp, into his faithful, into some hidden receptacle. The increasing number of Imperial saints, the growing power of faith-based miracles, the strange dreams reported by psychers across the galaxy, all might be signs of this transfer. The Golden Throne stands as the ultimate symbol of the Imperium of Man, a magnificent achievement reduced to a failing life support system, a dream of transcendence transformed into a prison of necessity. For 10,000 years, it has held the line against the darkness, demanding an ever-increasing toll of sacrifice and suffering. Every day, 1,000 psychers die to keep it running. Every day, tech priests perform rituals they don't understand to maintain systems they cannot repair. Every day, the Emperor endures unimaginable agony, his will alone holding back the tide of chaos that would otherwise consume humanity. The throne is failing. This is undeniable. But the human spirit, the spirit that built the throne in the first place, that conquered the galaxy, that has endured 10 millennia of warfare and horror, that spirit remains unbroken. Whether through technology, faith, or sheer stubborn refusal to yield, humanity will find a way forward. The Golden Throne may be a prison, but it is also a fortress. It may be failing, but it has not failed yet. And in the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, not yet, might be the closest thing to hope that humanity can afford. The vigil continues. The Emperor endures. The Imperium stands. And somewhere in the vast bureaucracy of the Adeptus Terra, another clerk marks another day of survival, another small victory against the dying of the light. In the 40 honest millennium, that is enough. It has to be. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and the golden throne stands eternal until it doesn't. And on that day, humanity will discover whether it has learned to stand without its golden crutch, or whether it will fall into the darkness that has always waited, patient and hungry, for its chance to consume the light of human civilization forever. The Golden Throne, humanity's greatest achievement and its most terrible burden, the seat of a god and the prison of a man, the light of hope and the weight of damnation. May it endure another day, another year, another millennium, for when it fails, only darkness awaits.